Dude, after watching this week's racing at RedBud,
Yeah.
I'm purely convinced that the 250 class is better than the 450 class from a pure entertainment perspective standpoint.
For sure. And normally, man, like I can't wait for the 250s to get over so I can watch the 450 race. But yeah, this year it's been get the 250s out there because it's going to be an awesome race from the start of the race to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and there's so many different guys. There's so much parity. I mean, I think of Hayden Deegan, who was the points leader. We've got Chance Hymas, Levi Kitchen, Joe Shimoda, Tom Vial. I mean, the list kind of just goes on and on and on. And we have a new winner, new overall winner for the first time, Chance Hymas.
We do.
Notching his first overall victory aboard the CRF 250R. So what do you think of Chance's performance at RedBud?
I don't want to steal what you said, so I want to let you share how he's doing and who you thought would be performing that way and how they kind of switch positions.
I honestly thought the rides that we're seeing out of Chase, we'd see out of Levi Kitchen.
Yeah, I couldn't steal that from you because I feel like your deduction on that was just spot on.
Yeah, it's almost like they switched. I feel like Levi had a great Supercross season and Chance had a so-so Supercross season. And now Levi's having a so-so motocross season, while Chance, on the other hand, is absolutely killing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I expected much, just not as much consistency out of Hymas in terms of being in the top 2, top 3 positioning as where he's been the past couple races. Because as we all know, that's very hard to do on a consistent basis, is be up with those top runners. And since seems like Lakewood, he hasn't really left that spot. He kind of found, okay, I can be up there with those guys, and that's my speed now, and that's where I'm always going to be at.
Yeah, I think with certain athletes, especially in our sport with motocross, you can think you can win and you have that belief you can win, but once you do it, it's like really reestablishes and reaffirms that belief within themselves. And I think we might be seeing that with Chance Hymas. I think, I like what you mentioned there, after Thunder Valley, where he notched his first moto win, we've seen him run up front more, be more comfortable running up front, and now it has led to an overall win and his second career moto win as well. So, especially Moto 2, I mean, he was riding phenomenal. I mean, some of the lines that he was taking, hopping over the bumps, there's one section in particular where he's hopping, I mean, at least 30 to 40 feet down the hill, where we saw Jordan Smith crash. He got tangled up with a Triumph rider early in the moto, and it's the same hill that Hunter Lawrence crashed on in the 450 moto. So,
That clip's amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's really underappreciated or not talked about enough, because that line that he did, it's so technical to wheelie and then hop over so many bumps.
Exactly. Because I assume he had to manual in to miss a few of the bumps in order to get his rear wheel to hit the bump he wanted to jump down it. So it's just like, what a commitment of, I'm going to manual this and then jump that, because if that didn't work, it probably just made the downhill way harder than it need to have been. But he made it look just pretty and badass at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys didn't catch it on the live broadcast, go back on your Peacock app and go to about 18:30 in Moto 2. You'll see right then and there this epic line that Chance Hymas does. So
yeah, it's really cool. He seems to be gaining confidence, and Tom Vial seems to be, I don't want to say losing confidence, but maybe questioning himself. And by that, I mean, he seems to be racing the riders around him now instead of racing the track.
Yeah, something's not clicking with Tom Vial. I mean, this is I think it's the third consecutive week that we've seen him tip over or make a mistake when he's in a prime spot to make up points on Hayden Deegan, or he's in front of Hayden Deegan, or right there in the mix with Hayden. And once again, it kind of seems like he's dropped the ball. Coming into the season, we talked about Tom having all this experience, and he's a two-time MX2 world champion. And this and that, like, he's going to be the guy to not make the mistakes. We should almost see these types of mistakes from Hayden Deegan, who's in his sophomore season. From some of these other younger riders. But we're seeing it out of an experienced veteran who's also a champion. So I just wonder if something's not clicking at Red Bull KTM, whether it's an injury with Tom, if it's a bike setup thing, if they can get him more comfortable aboard that 250 SXF. He clearly just seems to not be firing on all cylinders.
For sure, because again, it seems like anybody that catches him, he just starts racing them instead of the track and or going for the championship. And from the mistakes we see, you don't normally see that out of somebody that's constantly thinking forward versus somebody that's thinking, am I going fast enough and are they catching me type deal. And from what we saw today, just that little tip over, I get that happens and it's a bummer to see, but that shouldn't happen with a guy of a caliber like that, especially with the gap that he had. Nobody was breathing down his back at that point in the race. He had a pretty good gap at that point. So I just kind of empathize for the guy Because you know how much effort they put in. He's training with some of the best guys with Sexton, and he's putting in the work. But his summer is definitely not going the way he wanted to be. It's still salvageable. There's plenty of races left to go.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, things changed in a blink of an eye. I mean, he was this close to hitting that downed lapped rider who went to one-way ticket to Indonesia off that tabletop in the middle of the track. Hayden Deegan actually hit that downed rider's bike and flipped end over end, which they didn't really show on the broadcast. I know some people are uproaring about that, like, hey, why aren't you showing on the broadcast? The flagger's not doing his job per usual. So a little bit of controversy over that, but all the drama aside with the crash, not getting the best of starts, he still salvaged a good day. And honestly, he didn't lose any points. Kind of looked out with Chance Hymas getting docked when Chance jumped on a red cross flag, but he still has a 42-point lead over the rest of the field. So I feel like even though this was Hayden's worst round of the year, he's still in a great spot.
Yeah, no, really well said, man. I was wondering while watching the race, we haven't seen Masterpool ride this well, really ever. So has it been a thing of he just has not had the equipment and resources around him to allow him to ride this well? Or has he always been able to ride this well and he just hasn't had, I don't want to say a string of good luck, but things really go his way? Meaning, is the Pro Circuit bike that good that he finally got on it and he went from being a contender for the top 10 often to now being a race winner?
Yeah.
You think the bike's that good compared to what he's been on in the past?
I mean, if you kind of go back in history and see what bikes he's on, I mean, he was a rookie aboard a Star Racing Yamaha. We know that bike's no slouch. The bike's really
Very
good.
true. And didn't he rip every hole shot at Bud's Creek? At RedBud?
Yeah, RedBud did the one-hander.
Yes. Okay, so I remember, so over the weekend I was like, I could swear he hole-shotted here like 4 times. So they had that race twice that year for COVID.
Yeah, the COVID year.
Yeah, and he was just ripping hole shots.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like his time at Star maybe got cut a little bit short. That was also the time where a couple other riders, I think of like Jarrett Fry, who was another rider who was like pretty much in and out around that time, I want to say as well.
And he was his youngest at this point too. This was about 3 years ago.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, this is 2020, so what, going on 4 years ago?
Good point.
And then he moved on to, I think, what once was the AEO Gas team, which turned to AEO KTM. So he messed around over there for a little bit. Then he was on Barek Suzuki, who was our neighbors, just 2 doors down. And then he went to HBI Kawasaki. We saw some great showings there in the 450 class. And then now he switched back to the 250 and is on Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. So to answer your question, I think, yes, the bike is a big part of it, but I think it's just putting all the pieces together. Maybe his fitness, his maturity, his age level, he's growing into his body a little bit more, has more experience under his belt. I think all those things, putting all those pieces of the puzzle together has really culminated into the impressive results and showings that we're seeing out of Time Master Bowl.
Yeah, agreed. That's what I was thinking, same thing. Joe Shimoda, he seems to always have a better second, I don't say always, commonly have a better second moto finish than his first moto. I wonder if that goes to his style at all, meaning he's very smooth of a rider, very calculated. He can hang it out as we see, but I wonder as the track gets rougher, he's really good at finding lines that really can maintain a consistent pace and speed around the track, meaning maybe he doesn't slow down as the track gets rougher. Maybe he doesn't quite have that speed first moto, and the track's a little smoother and you really, really got to hang it out. But it seems like he doesn't really slow down as the track breaks down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very well said. I think the track and the race probably comes to him maybe a little bit more. He's also maybe a guy that warms up a little bit because we see him, this is a championship thing as well. He kind of starts out a little bit slower, kind of like a diesel engine. Starts out a little bit slower and then starts picking up speed towards the middle and the end of the season. I think we're starting to see that now with Joe. Got that moto win at Southwick, and that was in Moto 2 as well. Then moves on to RedBud, another great showing in Moto 2 as well.
And I guess I was wrong, man, because I've been calling the Honda slow compared to other bikes. It's been looking plenty fast the past few weekends with the whole shots Chance is getting and just how quick Joe's bike looks when he's drag racing everybody else.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this on other JBI race recaps, but I think that this is the start of something good for Joe, and hopefully he can string a couple of moto and overall podium finishes in a row to where he can get up closer towards that championship points battle for that second, third, fourth position.
I think that's about it for our 250 guys.
Yeah. Let's move on to the 450 class. We got the bombshell that got dropped on us. I think it was Wednesday. That Jett Lawrence is out of the pro motocross season.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of talked about it in last week's JBI race recap where how long can he ride with an injury for? I mean, that shoulder injury that's been nagging him since his Hangtown crash.
Yep.
And then I think it was literally the same day, because I think they said the practice crash was on Monday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we were just talking about it on Monday, like, hey, how long could he ride with an injury before another injury occurs? And not saying that's what caused the other injury or caused the crash that caused his thumb injury. But then again, I think when you ride with one injury, it almost tends to chain link to another.
Yeah. And the hands take a freaking long time to heal. They get very little blood supply in relation to the rest of the body. Let's say maybe not counting the feet, but the feet are below your heart. So a lot of gravity just kind of pulls blood there to begin with. But good move on his part, because I'd imagine they could probably get it fixed and maybe get him back out the last few rounds. But it's like, what's the point? And I think I saw his interview where he said, I've been very lucky the past couple years. And he's like, I accept it. And I thought, like, what cool insight and perspective on his side. Because I think other people could be like, man, fuck this, I should be out there racing still. But he seemed appreciative of, I've had a great couple of years.
Yeah.
If this is what I get, that takes me out for a while, I'll take it. We definitely got to give Chase Sexton the acknowledgement he deserves, because he capitalized as he should and as we expected, going 1-1 on the weekend.
Yeah, he deserves some kudos. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that's involved with going to your home race, racing in front of, I mean, it was sold out. I don't know how many fans were at RedBud, but it looked absolutely packed. They said the camping was sold out. That RedBud crowd, like every year, just comes out in droves, and they show up and they show out every single year.
We got to go to that race sometime, man.
Dude, for sure. But anyways, back on Chase Sexton. The point I was getting at is kudos to him to go 1-1 with a lot of pressure, a lot of friends and family, because he's from the Illinois area, not too far away from Buchanan, Michigan, where RedBud is located at. Yeah, he just did a phenomenal job. He looked great all day long. Had a couple moments here and there, but really kept it in and really rode within himself. I think in Moto 2, he had like a 20-second gap over his teammate, Aaron Plessinger. And I mean, the dude just rode pretty much flawless all day.
He did. Good for AP, man. He crawled up from a few people down, second moto, made a good pass on Anderson to get into the second place position.
Yeah.
And really shown that he can be up there as well with everybody. I was really happy to see Anderson get third, second moto. I'm a fan of the guy. I don't know why specifically. Like, I've never met him. In the past, I've always loved his riding style, because when he's pushing it, he rides like he has a chip on his shoulder. And I think that's just a fun riding style to watch. As of late, I think he's smoothed out his style a little bit. But just a fan. So fun to see him do that. Hunter Lawrence, does he ride better when his brother's there?
I think they're kind of alluding to this on the broadcast too. They're talking about how Jett can give Hunter toes around the track, and Hunter can follow his lines and whatnot. Time will tell. I want to see some more races with Jett out of the fray and Hunter in the race to actually give a true answer on that. But it did seem to me as if Hunter had more oh shit moments this race without Jett out there. I think of the double single section before the uphill triple in the middle of the track. He had a really gnarly moment there. And then it was literally a corner later down the downhill where we saw Chance Hymas had an epic line in the 250 moto. That's where Hunter Lawrence had his hand slip off and he eventually weeded it himself. I mean, I was watching it and I was like, Hunter looks really good still. Like, his bike looks good. His speed is there. He wasn't tapering off. So we know the guy is fit, but he definitely had a couple oh shit moments. And it eventually bit him.
Who did I just want to touch on for a second? Dylan Ferrandis. I think he's going to keep getting better, because that first moto we saw him tangle up. So that kind of held him back to 19th. But he got 5th second moto. And we can't forget, he's a past 450 champion. I think the dude needs confidence. And when he's confident, he fucking hangs it out.
I wonder what Dylan's thoughts are on his season so far. I think they've struggled with the bike a fair amount, especially the motor in specific. That Phoenix Racing Honda team normally doesn't race pro motocross. So I think not only is it a new venture for Dylan working with the guys on the team, but it's also a new venture for his team, Phoenix Racing Honda, going outdoors and racing pro motocross with a high caliber athlete such as Dylan Ferrandis. I think it's no secret within the industry, or even just common knowledge, that Dylan is a pretty particular rider. He expects a lot. I mean, he's been on high caliber teams such as Monster Energy Star Racing, Yamaha. He knows what it takes to win races and championships around the world. It's kind of a big ask for Dylan and the team to be a front runner right away. I like what you said. As the season goes on, he's going to get better and better. And I think they're just finding a common ground to work upon and a base to build upon.
If you're Ferrandis and you get an offer for a different team next year, Do you stay where you're at? To just stay on the same bike, same team, to kind of keep building that, or do you potentially leave?
Man, that's a tough question.
Ignoring if he has a contract or anything like that, because obviously we know those can be broken if they really want to get out of it and break it.
Well, Beta's got an open spot. Like, I mean, if he wants to go there. I feel like it depends on the ride. Unfortunately, a lot of the rides are locked up. A lot of the guys are continuing their multi-year contracts or are re-upping their new contracts. I mean, there was a rumor that he was going to go to HEP Suzuki. Obviously, Ken Roxon's there, a little bit of conflict of interest. Sounds like Kenny's going to re-up with the HEP team, from my understanding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for another year. So I don't know where he'd really go.
It's cool to see him back on the bike. I saw his Instagram post a little bit ago.
Yeah, I hope to see him at like maybe Bud's Creek, one of the later rounds of the Pro Motocross season. That would be really cool to spice things up, because I think that's also when we were talking about earlier, Cooper Webb and Eli Tomac are kind of set to return as of right now.
Yeah,
so
all three came back at the same time.
Yeah, what a race. Woo.
But we're just missing Jett. Fuck.
Yeah, it would have been so good.
Yeah, that's
so cool. I mean, we got Millville coming up this week, kind of a sandier track. What would you do to your bike headed from RedBud to Millville?
Yeah, our tech tip then going into this. So just to touch on last week, practice day, or let's call it like press day, looked to be really muddy at RedBud.
Yeah.
So when I alluded to maybe start with your Southwick settings, I think that would have been pretty spot on. This is how deep the freaking track was. I was watching that and I saw they were struggling just to double through the roller section. So I saw that and I was thinking, man, how is this weekend going to be? But as we talked earlier before the podcast, it seems like RedBud did a great job prepping the track, not overwatering it. They ripped it deep like they normally do, but it didn't seem like any deeper than past years or any less deep than previous years. So it looked like a common RedBud that we see. With that in mind, moving to Millville. If you were really happy with your bike settings during the race, not the day before, then I would say pretty much just leave them where they're at and check out Millville, see how they prep it. Are they going to keep their prep like past years, or are they going to have a different prep for this year? And also check out the weather. The weather looks like it's going to be rain-free, so we should be good on that.
Sweet.
But I think whatever settings you started off the day with at RedBud, I would continue with over at Millville, unless we have some wild change in weather that's going to influence the soil, or wild change in prep that's going to influence that as well.
So they're very well said. Spring Creek or Millville tends to have a softer, sandier top layer to it as well. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the guys are going to be running the scoop tire and not the knobby tire. I noticed Hunter Lawrence was running the knobby tire in Moto2 at RedBud.
He was.
And went away from the scoop. I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. I think they'll be running the scoop tire.
There seems to be some harder pack sections, or maybe the soft dirt isn't as deep as they go up higher elevation at Millville.
Yeah.
Because like where they got the Millville Whoop section at is obviously incredibly sandy.
Yep.
But that seems to be kind of near the lowest part of the track, and they kind of slowly work their elevation up there.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of the Catapult, and then another step up after that. That area starts to get pretty hard pack on the 100%. Dirt, and then they land. I think it's a 180, and they jump back down the hill. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's gonna be a tough one for tire choice, especially second moto.
Yeah.
Because you're spot on. First moto, scoop tire for sure. Like qualifying, practice, first moto, scoop tire, and then watching the track and seeing what do we do for second moto.
Yeah.
Because, man, that could be like a Lakewood second moto. I mean, it could dry out pretty good, and all that soft stuff gets pushed to the edges. Yeah,
like what you said with that soft stuff being pushed out to the edges. And I think one of the reasons why we see a pretty drastic change from that Millville Sand Monster whoop section to like the top layer of the track, I think they call it Mount Martin when they go up the hill and then 180 left down the hill, is because when it rains, I mean, we see this at our local track, Kahia Creek. Yeah. All that soft layer, when it rains, goes all the way down to the bottom. It does. I think that's probably pretty similar scenario at Millville. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like what you said, from the Catapult pretty much on up and down Mount Martin is going to be pretty hard pack, and the rest of the track be pretty, have a sandier top layer to it. So yeah, tire choice is going to be critical.
What are you going for your race winners and top three this week?
Yep. So I'm going to go Chase Sexton. I'm going to put Hunter Lawrence second as well. And then I'm going to go Justin Cooper, third place.
Ooh, I like that.
I like what I've been seeing from him pretty much all season long. He's just been a solid top 5 and sneaking in a moto podium when he can. 250 class, I it's so hard to pick between. I'm stuck between Masterpool, Deegan, and Hymas as of right now.
Okay.
For the win, it's hard to count out Hayden Deegan, so I'm gonna go Hayden Deegan.
Okay.
I like Chance Hymas for second, and I'm gonna put Ty Masterpool, P3.
Dude, I like it. I like it. We'll copy you and go with Chase Saxon for the moto win and overall for 450s. And then for 250s, Hunter finishes really well. So I have a hard time seeing anybody else get second unless he goes down.
Yep.
Because I don't know if Plessinger would have gotten second moto had Hunter not gone down.
Yep.
For it. So I think it's hard to count him out because he just finishes so strong. And man, for that third place, I'm going to go with Plessinger. He seems to have a really just good role lately.
Yeah.
But I could easily swap him out for Cooper, but I don't want to copy you.
Yeah.
But, man, if Cooper gets a start like he did at Lakewood both motos and not having Jett there, I could see him really want to get that moto win. I mean, you always want the moto win, but I think that's a little extra motivator knowing, hey, one of the guys that beat me last time ain't in and I've got the lead and I've got the start. Like, let's go. So that's going to be fun to watch. For 250s, because you don't want to count out Deegan.
Yeah.
And now we're learning, like, don't count out Hymas. But now I'm thinking, like, don't count out Vial. He's just had a couple bad races.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Hymas for the overall. Not sure how he's going to get it. Nice. Deegan for second and Shimoda for third.
Nice. Ooh, I like it.
Just because I think Shimoda is going to have another awesome second moto finish. His first moto may not be amazing, but he's still going to be there. But his second moto, he's going to have another great finish.
I like it.
And that's going to get him that nice third overall position.
I like it. He's actually podiumed at Millville in 2022 and 2023. So I think you're onto something there.
I did not know that. Or maybe I did. No, I didn't.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in once again to this episode of the JBI Race Recap. This is the RedBud Recap Show / Millville Prediction Show. We appreciate you guys tuning in once again. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.